Let's think about the human eye for a second. We usually think of it as just, well, our window to the world, right? But what if I told you it's also a battlefield? A precious territory that's constantly being defended against microscopic invaders. Today, we're going inside that battle.
I want you to really picture that. Your eye isn't just passively seeing things. It's an active fortress with walls and moats and guards all working 24/7 to fight off a relentless siege. And this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. Nope. This is the everyday reality of ocular microbiology. So every story needs a villain, right? Let's kick off Act 1 by meeting ours. Who are these tiny, unseen invaders trying to breach the gates of your eye fortress? Let's meet the usual suspects. Okay, so here we can start to put some names to these microscopic troublemakers. You know that nasty case of acute pink eye or conjunctivitis? Well, chances are the culprits are bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus or Streptococcus pneumonia. And for the really serious stuff, like keratitis, that's an infection of the cornea, one of the biggest players on the field is a bug called Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And we have to talk about Pseudomonas because it has a favorite way of getting in. For millions of us, that's our contact lenses. See, if they're not handled perfectly, those little lenses can basically become a Trojan horse. They give this particularly nasty bacterium a perfect place to hang out and a direct bridge to the surface of your cornea. But okay, we've met the bad guys. It's not all doom and gloom. Your eye is not defenseless, not by a long shot. And that brings us to Act 2, the absolutely incredible, sophisticated defense system that makes up your eye's fortress.
This is where it gets so cool. Your eye has multiple layers of security. First up, you've got the tear film. Think of it like a chemical moat, just swimming with antimicrobial agents that kill invaders on sight. Then there's blinking. Every single blink you take acts like a mechanical shield, a squeegee really, wiping away debris and microbes. Dig a little deeper, and you've got dedicated immune tissue. These are your local guards, ready to sound the alarm at the first sign of trouble. And get this, you even have helpful neighbors, the eye's own population of good bacteria that help crowd out the bad guys.
So what it all boils down to is the status of your fortress. On the one hand, you've got a healthy eye at full strength, but on the other, you can see where the weak points are. Like we said, contact lenses can bridge the moat. Any kind of physical trauma can literally create a breach in the walls. And if your immune system is weak for any reason, well, that's like your guards are asleep on the job, making an invasion way more likely. And that brings us to our final act. This is the modern plot twist, and honestly, it's the most urgent challenge we face. What happens when our most trusted weapons, the things we use to help our fortress fight back, start to fail? This is the story of antibiotic resistance.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a minute. The antibiotics that have been the absolute bedrock for treating these infections for decades, they are losing their punch. The invaders are smart, they're evolving, and they are learning how to survive everything we throw at them. This chart paints a pretty stark picture of how the battle is changing. As you can see, the overall effectiveness of our antibiotic arsenal is trending down, while the number of bacteria that can resist those antibiotics is steadily climbing up. It's a really worrying pincer movement, and we're caught right in the middle.
And when we drill down into the data, a few things really stand out. There's a class of antibiotics called fluoroquinolones. They've been the go-to weapon for a long time, and they're just not as reliable anymore. And this is especially true for two of our main villains, Staphylococcus aureus and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. A huge part of the problem? We've been overusing these drugs, sometimes even just for prevention, which gives the bacteria more and more chances to learn and adapt.
Now, it's not always totally black and white. This little quote adds a really important layer of nuance. Just because a lab test says a bacteria is resistant, it doesn't automatically mean the treatment is going to fail, especially with eye drops, where you can deliver a super high concentration of the drug right to the source. But the trend is crystal clear. The more resistant the bug, the higher the risk that things could go very wrong.
So when you put all these pieces together, what you're really looking at is a biological arms race playing out on a scale too small to see. It is a constant, dynamic back and forth between microbes that are evolving at lightning speed and our body's ancient defenses, which are now being helped by our modern medicines. And that leaves us with a huge, critical question for the future. These microbes can evolve in a matter of hours or days. Developing new drugs takes years, even decades. In this race against time, how are we going to protect our most precious sense, our very window to the world?